Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. So we have been talking about our ascension process and all of the obstacles that may present themselves on the path of growth, evolution, and ascension. I want to talk tonight in greater detail about three uh, resisting forces. By the way, there's a chapter 5 in my new book, soon to come, December 2nd, up Toward the Future Earth, my second book, that will have chapter 5 will have a lot more about these collective we're going to talk about today. And they play different roles, and all of them are creating resisting forces to a movement forward, but yet at the same time are helping us shed. Once we pass the test that they represent, it's going to help us shed a lot of baggage so that we can become lighter and move toward complete enlightenment. Let's talk first about the archons. Okay, let's begin there. The Book of Enoch, which was originally the original pre-Nicaea Christian Bible, meaning before 325 AD, when the church fathers removed a whole bunch of books, and there were other competing gospels, not competing, but rather there were other gospels that were also there. They removed them and they kept the four gospels that we have now, and we have the version of the Bible that we have today. The Book of Enoch was included in there. That was removed. In the Book of Enoch, in great detail, they talk about the archons. They are a collective of 200 chief angels that were sent to earth to become guardian angel of men, to watch over the growth and evolution of mankind. This is why they are referred to in the Book of Enoch as the Watchers. They were there to just watch and support when necessary. But at some point, they emancipated then out of the preview of what they were created for, which was to support and to be guardian and protectors. They desire sexually. They realized that women and female became very fair. They desired them sexually, and they took human form, physical form, and they begin to have intercourse with women and female, which procreated the Nephilim, which were giants, the mighty men, which were men of incredible physical strength, like Samson. Hercules may have been one of those, and also men of renown, which are human beings that looks like human beings, but that are immortal, that cannot die. And they're hybrid. But consequently as well, because of this intermingling of different species, celestial species as opposed to human species, humanity lost their genetic inheritance, meaning that what we were created for, if you think of chapter 5 of Genesis, chapter 4 and 5 of Genesis, where they talk about the genealogy, during that chapter 5 and chapter 6, chapter 4 and 5, the patriarch of the Bible, they give you their age. The average age was around 800 to 1,000 years. But soon after that, that intermingling of angelic forces, the archons, intermarried with human and female, immediately the men begin to live shorter and shorter until we have the life expectancy that we have right now. Okay? So we had a genetic inheritance, and if that intermingling did not occur, all of us till today would have lived to be 800 to 1,000 years. So keep in mind that Sarah, the wife of Abraham, the mother of Isaac, was 90 when she became pregnant, and Abraham was 100 years old. So keep that in mind. It wasn't unusual for that time for that to happen. Now, the archons, therefore, interfere with the evolution of humanity, and it wasn't just the only sin that they committed. They also brought with them forbidden knowledge. Men and women having been physically manifested on earth, or gotten out of the Garden of Eden in short period of time, there were certain kind of emotional, intellectual, and let's say cultural maturity that we didn't have. And the information that these angels brought with them caused an acceleration. We didn't have the ethical and moral barometer to handle the knowledge that these angels brought with them. It wasn't just the physical connection with human and female, it was the forbidden knowledge. Meaning, in Star Trek, they have a, the writer of Star Trek get this right. When an advanced race go to a planet and there is a race that's younger, they call it the law, the law of the first directive, which is you do not bring your technology and your advancement to a race that has, because in the process of growing and evolving and having maturity and there is a refinement of consciousness that happened in the genetic pool that needs to happen organically. You bringing in upfront information and dropping it would actually interfere with the growth and the evolutionary process of that race. Let's say, for example, 3i Atlas that's like rotating around us right now were to be a spaceship, mothership for alien races. If they were to come with advanced technology and were to bring us into a higher race and all that, they would interfere with the natural evolution. Let's say they are 500 years, let's say 1,000 years ahead of us in terms of growth. They would interfere with our growth. That's the law of non-interference. That's what I call the law of non-interference in our own language, which is that you don't commingle your energy grid or with someone else without consent, without understanding the impact it's going to have. So the archon committed that as well as a sin. The archons are named in all cultures. The Anunnaki may have been archons as well in Sumeria. The Anunnaki, the Sumerian claim that their gods were space people with wings that came to Earth, and they commingled their blood with ours, and they created the human race. Okay? The Carlos Castaneda and his teacher Don Juan talks about them as well, and they refer to Carlos Castaneda's teaching referred to them the same way the Book of Enoch refers to them. They are called inorganic beings, meaning and the process through which they interact with humanity, because when you're an archon, you cannot, there are certain things you're not capable of doing. If you're from the angelic race, you are you don't have, the angels and the archangels are created to obey the laws of God. They have very specific role that they're supposed to play in the hierarchy and the descent of light and the ascent of light. They have a very specific role that they are supposed to play. You coming in and what they cannot do is what we are capable of doing, which is to co-create, to bring something new. That's very specifically human or God-related. That's why we are co-creator with God. Angels are not, for example, the angel of healing, which is the archangel of healing, which is Raphael, cannot do what Archangel Michael does. Michael is he who's like God. or cannot do what Gabriel does. Gabriel is the strength of God. So each one of them have different role that they are playing, and one cannot be substituted for the other. So the dice is cast, and every role is specific. So when you try to emancipate and play a different role, something is missing. So the archons, when they try to create, they create even their appearance taking human form. The term in the Gnostic teaching, by the way, the church fathers in 325 AD, when they basically took all of the other books out of the biblical text and all of the other gospels, there were over 50, about 50 gospels around that time. They removed all of them, and then they moved, they eradicate wherever they are. They persecuted anybody that had a copy. They went after them. And it was the wisdom of the Essene in the Dead Sea, which is around the collective, the inner circle from which Mary, Joseph, the mother and the father of Jesus, came from, that buried in a cave all of these Gnostic texts, which was rediscovered as the Dead Sea Scroll by a goat. A shepherd realized this goat was missing. The goat went in the bush. He went to dig in the bush, and the next thing you know, he found the cave and these clay jars. One of the goat was chewing on something, and he found one clay jar. And that's how this whole archaeological find was rediscovered. And through the teaching that were in the Dead Sea Scroll, the Gnostic Bible, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Judas, all of these other books, this is where this information is coming from. And this is information that Jesus knew because he was raised in an Essene culture. He knew all of this information. So the teaching clearly state that the way the archon, when they take physical form or try to create, there is something missing. Okay, that's why they're called inorganic being, and the process through which they try to create is called simulacrum. It looks like something real, but it's not real. It looks like something that we know or something that is good, and it's not there. Now, let's fast forward to what we're experiencing right now with AI, with artificial intelligence. What is up to everybody? There are multiple groups that are doing different. You have ChatGPT, you have Google that's doing its own AI, which is Gemini. You have different groups doing different things with different AI, right? What is it that they all want? They want AI to become sentient. They're trying to mimic through machine intelligence consciousness. This is pure simulacrum. Be aware of this. I use AI as a tool for certain things that I'm doing. For example, to edit my videos, to do certain things for me, but understand very well. Because there are people who are writing books, entire books, by giving a couple of titles, a guideline, and AI crunch it, and the next thing you know, within an hour, they have a whole bunch of chapters, and they have a book. Okay? So this is, and again, AI is taking information from other people, stealing things and plagiarizing and creating something. And what they want AI to become is to become sentient. So that's simulacrum. Be careful. It's the golden calf, where you ask a question and you get an answer. And it's not always the right answer, because consciousness cannot be mimicked. The field of consciousness that humanity and higher evolutionary beings belong to cannot be mimicked by machine intelligence. Something is missing. Now, having said this, the way the Archon attacks or resist us is that they inflate our emotions, particularly now in a polarized environment where there are so many people who think that they know what the world should look like, and they're trying to force their version of the world into other people. Okay? By passing legislation, by cheating, by doing all, or using a lot of money to try to force a version of the world onto us that is not aligned with natural growth, ethical growth, and moral growth. So we have to be very careful. And as this polarization is going on, the archon is going to inflate, and you will know it because you begin to react like you're jumping out of your skin. Something is going to happen to me. My God, I'm in fear. Blah blah blah. And you get angry, angry, and you spin around. And as you do this, forgive me for this. It's very damp and raining here, and the barometric pressure is very strange. And also, there are multiple solar flares and solar storms that are running through. So I'm feeling a little bit not sick, but my throat is not clear. So anyway, so I wanted to mention that for us to understand very clearly what we're trying to talk about, which is that the archons inflate our emotion, right? This is the way they behave. And you spin around like a dog chasing your tail. You spin around and spin around, spin around. And when you got back into yourself, you're saying to yourself, what came into me? What was wrong? And you're behaving out of character for who you are. In fact, I have known people who in the past I would swear for their character and I would have vouched for them. And I have watched them change and become cruel, mean, and they claim to be light workers or being good people, and I've watched them turn into something very dark and very sinister. This is a brainwashing mechanism that is again being used by the collective I call the archon. It's very specific to them. There's a very specific signature. It's like they fracture you by putting doubt and fear into you, by telling you what you believe in is not relevant, it doesn't have any bearing, blah blah blah. And they because this is brainwashing 101. You fracture the person first. You make them realize that they're not good enough. You break them into pieces. And then once they're completely broken, you tell them, but if you were to do X, Y, and Z, if you were to change and by espousing this, that, or the other, you could save the world. The world will be a beautiful place. This is the way every brainwashing mechanism has happened. You fracture, and sometimes the fracture can be emotional, or it could be videos. It could be things that are being forwarded to you. You could be or sensory deprivation. You keep watching these things over and over again, day and night, day and night, day and night, and it gets repeated. Eventually, it drops in. Right? Be aware of that. Second, and this is the first test of ascension. It's the collective I call the dweller on the threshold test. It's at the beginning of the ascension process. Once you really mean to grow and to evolve, it will happen at the beginning, where you're being told by an internal voice that you're unworthy of ascending. In fact, you're an imposter. You're so broken and so incomplete and so warped that there is no way that you can ascend. And the way the voice comes in is that it comes in like a final judgment. It doesn't just suggest, it just comes in so strong as a final judgment that when it comes toward you, you realize that was probably true about you because it's based on truth. And the truth is that there's aspects of yourself that the accuser is pointing out to, or the dweller is pointing out to, that are absolutely true. Okay? You may procrastinate. You may have an anger management issue. You may have that or the other. You may be at time a little bit too catty and too gossipy. All these things that are being pointed out, they have a foundation. And then the way it becomes so strong that suddenly you begin to it feels like it's a final judgment. It's the end of days, and you're getting a final judgment, and you're unworthy, and you're going to be tossed out. Okay? When in fact, the way you overcome that test is to realize, yes, indeed, I am not perfect. Yes, indeed, I am human. Yes, indeed, I am vulnerable and I have flaws. But I also have virtues. I also have things that are going right for me. I am loyal. I am kind. I am charitable. I share with the world. I have a big heart. I love animals. There are all these other things about you that are also positive. And when you look at the complete picture, you realize that you're not worthless, that you have value, and that you're redeemable. Instead of being, a waste, you're actually redeemable. And that's the part that begins to help you pass the test. And the way you finish passing the test, you begin to say to yourself, yes, I have these flaws, and maybe these flaws are going to be a detriment for my growth, but I'm going to start by asking God for forgiveness for these flaws. And I'm going to forgive myself for them. And over time, the forgiveness evolves into self-acceptance, and the self-acceptance eventually evolves into self-love. And the moment the self-love goes in, you will heal in the most profound way these deep old fissures that said that you, for example, you procrastinate too much. You don't follow through. You never complete anything. All of these things that made you feel incomplete. Okay, or you have anger management issue. All these parts will begin to heal in such a profound way that suddenly your true, the root, the foundation column for your ascension will come from these very crevices. The third collective that I want to talk about is the Demiurge. In the Gnostic teaching, the Demiurge is mentioned a lot in all of the books from the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Demiurge is what they call a celestial being who is creating a competing kingdom to that of God. And the way the Demiurge does this, and although the Demiurge behave like an archon, they are not archon. I want you to understand this. It's two separate, they're separate entities. Because the archon deal with darkness and with deceit as well, but the archon are not the deceiver. The deceiver is actually the Demiurge. And the Demiurge does not deal with shadows. And this is the mistake that we are making. The Demiurge is actually Lucifer. The name Lucifer translates into bearer of light. The Demiurge does not create any shadows. The Demiurge creates inverted light, reflected light. It does not create shadows. So as you grow, as you get closer and closer to ascension, you're going to get to a point where you will be presented with storylines that says, for example, there are days you wake up and you start doing your meditation, all of a sudden there's all this light around you. You feel you have to do very little, like you're so connected with God, and there's so much light and illumination. And since we all want to feel good, we see it as true ascension. We see it as being real. It's not that it is not light. It is that it's inverted light. And there's a fine line for us to understand. It's not that it is not light. It's inverted light. It's a mirror image. When you look at yourself in the mirror, when you touch yourself to the right is not your right. The left is not your left. It's inverted. And so the visions and the perception that you're having of connecting to ascended masters and talking to God and all of that, it's not that it's not God, but it's a reflection of God. It's an image. It's a mirror image. And the way the Demiurge sets its trap, it's through your ego and your attachment. Because we want to feel good, and it keeps feeding us all the time this connection that makes us feel good, that keeps making us feel good and connected to light and connected to the moment it happens, we begin to be attached to the vision and the perception of the reflection. And that attachment connects our ego, and we will not go into the true light. It's a trap. The net is set. So it is not that because a lot of students are asking, so you mean to tell me all my vision, everything I'm feeling, all the things that make me feel ecstatically good, I'm connected to God, and I feel like crying when this connection happened. In fact, I do cry, and I feel so incredible. That you mean to tell me all of it is wrong? No, I don't mean it is wrong. The best way to describe this, they're all over the city. There are towers that are made out of sheer glass, right? And sometimes the sun hits the facade of the building, and light reflects from it. When the light reflects from it and it hits you, if you stand long enough, although you're not getting the sun directly, it's reflected, that reflected light will burn your skin, like if the sun was directly dropping on you. But it is reflected light nonetheless. So it's not that it is not light, because again, unlike the archons, the Demiurge does not deal with shadows. It deals with light. And as we begin to, very few students will get this, will pass this test, because a lot of people, and I see so many of them in the light community, and you can tell when they are stuck because they keep talking about, there is always, and the thing with the Demiurge as well is that it keeps telling you that the reason you're not completely over the threshold of ascension, it's because of this story. You need to throw another fishing line to pull some additional information. It's because of this and because of that, and because of the story. And every time there is a story, your ego gets attached to the next piece. It's because I need to do this, and then you next to do this, and then it's like pulling the handkerchief out of the mouth of the pocket of the magician. I need to do this. I need to do this, and you keep pulling and pulling, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So the Demiurge, the role that they're playing is that the Demiurge is it's you. What the Demiurge wants is your attention, your ego's attention. And the moment it has it, you're trapped. And you need to evolve beyond that and get to a point where you're not giving it that attention that it wants back, and you need to become non-attached to even the story or the feel good that you're getting from the light that you're perceiving or that you're receiving. It's not that you should not enjoy it and feel blissed out because of it. You should, because it feels good. But you should also understand you cannot be attached to it. Because the moment you become attached to it, you're trapped. In the Tibetan Buddhism, they talk about dharmata, which is the true state of enlightenment, as being a state of non-attachment. And you cannot be attached even to the desire to ascend or become enlightened. You know that a mantra I've been asking you to repeat, and I'm doing it every morning. Gate, gate, paragate, parasam, gate, bodhisattva. Gone, gone, gone over, fully gone over. Awake, it is done. What is gone over? My attachment to everything. Gone, gone, gone over, fully gone over. Awake, it is done. That's the mantra that every Buddha, including Kuan Yin, this is the Kuan Yin Heart Sutra. They call it the Paraparajmita. Gate, gate, paragate, parasam, gate, bodhisattva. It's the great mantra. It's the non-attachment to everything. And as you do this and you get to a point that, okay, I want to go back. I want to bring some other piece of information in. In the Webb telescope that takes now information that makes the Hubble telescope, that put the Hubble telescope to shame in terms of the detail and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It focuses in certain part of the firmament to only reveal through that there are certain galaxies that are the edge of our universe that appear to predate the Big Bang, because the Big Bang is supposed to be 14 billion years ago. But these galaxies are several million years older, and they are completely fully formed. And they appear to be so old that they predate the Big Bang. And if that is the case, scientists are saying that there must have been a parent universe before the Big Bang. So the Big Bang was not the beginning. Something else predated. And scientists are now saying we probably got ejected, our entire universe, from a black hole. And they're saying the universe is shaped like a champagne glass. There's a fluted bottom, and then which would be the point of the Big Bang, and that fluted bottom extended out from a black hole and got ejected. And the rest of the champagne glass, the opening, and we are rotating on the edge of that glass as an entire construct and moving out. And here is the thing I wanted to point out to you that the Hubble telescope is saying, and scientists are talking about it now openly. Physics as we know it, relativity, the theory of relativity, all of that had to be thrown out. Because now the laws of physics cannot operate with what we're observing now. It also means, therefore, as they are saying, that parent universe, time work opposite to what we know it. In other words, our universe is a mirror of what pre-existed. And time would actually work backwards. So we're having physical confirmation to a spiritual awareness that mystics and elders and ascended masters and great wise men and women have known for eons. Which is that in order for you to elevate and truly grow and evolve, you have to get yourself to a point where you begin to, you see, here is the thing that here is the thing that the archons, the Demiurge is doing. We exist as a singularity of expression and consciousness. We exist in a fixed point in time. And in order for us to truly become enlightened, instead of being the I, the ego, we have to become the we, the collective. And it's a different state of awareness. And it's so different that as long as I remain the I cannot fully encompass and understand what it is. And because of this, I have to figure out a way to transit into it. And what the archons and the storyline that it's giving us and the light that it's giving us, the reflection of the light, the reflection becomes a serapin, a lesser version of God. It's a serapin. It's a little face of God. It's a lesser version of God. And that lesser version is holding us back from experiencing the essence of being as it really is. The way the Gnostic describe what, in order for us to enter into that state and pass that final test, you cannot deny the luminosity. You cannot deny the goodness and the light that is coming to you. You cannot deny the fact that when you're feeling that good and ecstatic, you lean into it, but you don't get attached to it. Well, you allow it to go through, but you witness it and you observe it by being still and silent. And you continue to observe it and look at it. And as you observe it and look at it and being still and silent, and you don't give the archon your attention, your ego's attention, by saying to yourself, I am ascended. I am so connected to God now. I'm so blessed. I'm redeemed. The more attention you give to this, the more the trap will close. And you will never completely ascend. It will keep giving you more and more things that you need to do in order for you to get there. When in fact, if you simply observe the whole thing, the whole construct and the whole feeling and everything else that you're having, you say, thank you for the blessing, gratitude and all that, but you just observe it. Thank you for the blessing, I accept it if I receive with gratitude, but you keep observing it. You keep observing it. You witness it. And as you become detached and you witness it, you will experience the true light. And the way the true light shows, because it's a state of awareness, it's not that you are not going in the true light. All of you are doing it. But when you go into it, it's so unlike the ego experience that we have as a singularity, that when we go into it, during meditation, during your own spiritual practice, you keep thinking, my God, I fell asleep. I don't know where I went. I passed out. I blacked out. I don't know where I went. I fell asleep. It's because you went into it with your ego still holding on. And therefore, you enter into a realm where ego cannot exist because it's a collective awareness. And you floated it into it as an unconscious tendency floating in that emptiness. And what you need to do is that you have to travel and traverse to it as a consciously immortal being, open to the possibility of existing and experiencing something that's so unusual and so new that it is unlike anything that you know. If the ascension is us becoming godlike, our sensory perception of it has to be completely different. And therefore, it's important for us to understand that as you are evolving and growing, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to again, the reflected light will come. All of us have to go through it. But you need to also not become attached to it. And slowly, as you begin to, and I'm giving you the mechanic, to be perfectly honest. There are very few schools like ours, thank God to Lord Melchizedek and his training in the Melchizedek order of neutrality. The torsion field is the key. As you do your torsion field on a daily basis, there comes a point as you're doing the torsion field where you are now, after the last torsion field is done and you get there, first of all, when you're doing the torsion field, you become very aware of the core, because counter-rotating, going up, torsion field gets created, but you also equally become aware of the perimeter, how vast and how the torsion field completes itself, the donut completes itself. I'm aware of the funnel that's inside of me, but I'm also aware of the filaments that are going around me. First one. Second one, bigger. Third one. By the time you get to the last torsion field, it is so immense and so big, and all at every torsion field you're being neutral, which means what? I am witnessing everything. I am not attached to anything. I'm witnessing everything. And by the time the last torsion field gets created, you begin to sense a volume that is like actual dark matter. The best way to describe the state of being into what I call the white space is that, unlike the reflected light of the Demiurge, which is what a lot of people experience when they go in meditation or they see an ascended master, the illumination, the light is directed light, meaning like someone, when they're traveling, when they go to near-death experience, they see a tunnel of light. The light is in one direction. The true light is non-directional. When you go in it consciously, you blink, all of a sudden, you dissolve into it. There is no direction. There is white luminosity all around you. It doesn't have a direction. You're inside of it. And because of this, that's the hallmark. And there are a couple of other things as well that happen when you get into that place. It's not that it's just that that luminosity envelops you, but it also, there are other things also that happens, is that you suddenly get, when you get into that space, it's extremely disorienting. Meaning it's a different way. When I first began to drop into that place, I thought I couldn't figure out where I was. I knew something happened, but I thought it was an accident. I'm like, what is this place? Where am I? What's going on? And I was doing torsion field 3 times a week, 3 times a day, 3 times a day. And all of a sudden, after doing this for a couple of weeks, all of a sudden, I'm like, where am I? What's going on? Now, to initiate my further connection to that space, after I did the torsion field, now, I did this on instinct, or I tell you, the Gnostic teaching talks a lot about the true light as remembering. And I believe it, because I thought it was an accident when I initially went into that space. But now in hindsight, I think I remembered something in my core that was already in me that I simply remembered. Because after doing the torsion field, I asked some critical question because I could feel after the torsion field were done, and I'm sitting in that big volume, and I sense like how big the the torsion fields are. You know, I'm as big as the universe, and I'm so immense, and I'm so big, and I'm sensing that there is something else that I am not seeing. I know the directional light, I know the ascended masters and the being, but when I'm in that volume, when I'm so neutral, I kept sensing there's something else that I'm not seeing. And I simply began to query, what am I not seeing? And I kept feeling like it's something is about to emerge, something is coming close, and it's like I'm in a fog, and there is some sort of shape or something around me that's trying to pierce through, but I just cannot figure out exactly what it is. So what am I not perceiving? What am I not seeing? And for me specifically, I ask, what am I not hearing? And for me, the hearing became the key to get me into that place. It may be different for you if you're more visual, but for me, the hearing was the key. And what I heard initially when I said, what am I not hearing? My ears begin to open up to the sound that were around me. A car driving down the street, a bird on the window, my neighbors, the elevator door opening, the sirens, the street noises, and etc. And then I kept on listening. What am I not hearing? And I imagined for a moment that the more than 100 trillion cells in my body had ears. And with that awareness, where I'm listening with my entire consciousness over a period of time doing this, all of a sudden, I transit like a flash, like this. I consciously went into that big volume. I just went. And I realized everything around me was white. Not outside, I was not, everything was white. I dissolved into it. Instead of seeing it coming at me through a mirror to reflection, I just dropped into it. And then as that happened, it slowly began to bring my awareness somewhere else because I was disoriented. I'm like, what is that place? Because I don't have guidance. I didn't read it in a book. I didn't see it anywhere. I'm like, what is this place? Where am I? Everything feels good because the hallmark of this volume is rest. There is nothing you have to do, say, complete, achieve. It's rest. It's profound rest. And in fact, the rest felt so good, I was probably catatonic and went in that space for maybe, I don't know how long, because time and space operate differently in there. Uh, May have been hour or 2 hours. I don't remember the first time I went in. I was catatonic. I just went in. Over time, as I kept going back into it, curiosity, I need to understand what this is. More and more as I went into it, I realized, oh my God, maybe 2 months later, when I'm in there, I have no thoughts. The monkey mind is not there. all the things that I have to do and have to run after and do this and do that, or if I don't do this, the sky is going to fall, and I need to complete this, and all the to do, everything's gone. There is stillness, there is silence, no thoughts, and rest. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, Pierre, I would like to understand non-attachment better when it comes to experiencing the light, being in a connected state with God. You say observe only, but you've said that you can be grateful and express that uh, gratitude. Uh, what does non-attachment mean, though? Is it perhaps better to talk about what attachment would mean so that I can better understand what non-attachment means?
Well, attachment means that you are seeking it and pursuing it like it's like a new drug.
I see.
Okay,
So it's a required state of addictive,
it's addictive behavior.
I see.
It's addictive behavior. You're seeking it like it's a drug, that you cannot exist without it, and if it doesn't happen and all that. In fact, when you know it's directional, you're attached to it. It's when that state doesn't occur naturally, you feel like you're cheated, and you get very upset with yourself. What did I do wrong? And you begin to examine yourself. That's attachment.
Oh, okay.
So the idea is for you to understand when you're non-attached, you and again, I can't, it's very hard to explain. When I do the torsion field, okay, at the very end of the last guardian, the 12th guardian is done, there is a specific expansion. And you become so big and so expanded, it is very close to being non-attached because you're neutral to all 12 torsion field. And all I have to do at that point is to query, because I sense when I'm in that immensity, because you're going from singularity of awareness at every torsion field, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, you're releasing your connection more and more to the 3D, to your ego, to your sense of unconscious tendency floating in emptiness. And you're becoming more and more a collective awareness, not singularity, but a plurality. And as you become closer and closer and you get to that very tail end, all of a sudden, whatever was on the other side, as you query, what am I not seeing? What am I not perceiving? And suddenly it will show up. Not immediately, but as you keep doing it, it will simply show up. Now, this is not the only way to get to that space. I know for a fact that George gets to it completely differently because he's a Buddhist and he's been doing this practice. He does mantra at least twice a day, like long mantra, hours. And through the mantra, like gate, gate, paragate, you're singing and you're through the mantra, you are asking in sacred languages, Sanskrit, Hindu, and all that. You're asking basically to surrender and let go of everything, including your desire for enlightenment itself. Because in the Squanian Heart Sutra is very clear. The sutra begins that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. Somebody had posted something about that online and I responded to it. At the root and the essence of being, form and emptiness are the same thing. However, depending on where your consciousness is, emptiness will take form and will appear as form. Whereas the person who's truly enlightened, when they get to it, they experience dharmata, and in that volume, initially when I entered it, I thought it was a big empty white space. And it wasn't long before I began to notice, wait a minute, it's not empty, because there are all kinds of, it feels like fluid. There are waves of goodness and benevolence that crashes on you. And again, you don't have a sense of a body. I don't see myself. I don't have a body when I'm in there. I don't see myself. I know that I exist, but I don't see myself. And I can feel waves of stuff floating about me, rotating around me, moving about me. And I could feel that whatever is floating is benevolent. And they are not the same. The waves are not the same. There are multiple things that are swirling about me. And they are not the same. So the idea of attachment and non-attachment connects to the fact that you have to, in 3D, we're all attached to something. We identify with something. I'm an American, I am white, I am a woman, I am a man, we identify with things. But as we begin to ascend, we are slowly changing our identity as it evolves. I am a spiritual being. I am a conscious being. I am a kind being. I am a grateful being. We keep changing our identity. There comes a point where you have to understand that I am the very emptiness itself. I am dharmata. I am infinity times infinity. I am everything. That's the final identity. I am everything. And in fact, when you get into that place, you don't even say I am, because it's not relevant anymore. Because you exist in such, there is a language barrier to translate the experience, and I'm using language to do it. It doesn't do it justice. It doesn't do it justice. I know when I talked to Georgie about that experience, because when he was talking and telling me the experience of meditation he had, he said, suddenly I find myself in this white space. And I'm like, I know that space. I know it. And then when we compare note, and when I said no thought, he said, yes, yes, exactly. No thoughts, none. Yes, I know exactly. It is a process. And my suggestion is to keep doing your torsion field practice. And at the very end of it, to simply ask these short queries. Because what I'm saying is that when you finish a torsion field, you all have experienced it silently, but you're not articulating it. That something else is almost revealing itself to you, but it's not revealing itself yet. You all know this in your call. Something is there. What I'm saying is that create a bridge and a connection to it. And that bridge and the connection is created in stillness and in witnessing. You don't have to do anything for it. You just have to remain still and simply create the intention. I'm not seeing something. Something is trying to reveal itself to me. What am I not seeing? What am I not perceiving? What am I not hearing? and let that become a connection to traverse the bardeau that separate where you are to that collective awareness. The gap, the intermediary space, because it is a bardeau. Slowly and incrementally, you're going to get to a point where, and again, it's not, again, there are times you might feel, okay, I pass out. Initially, maybe that's what's going to happen. You think you pass out, you went somewhere, and then you're like, oh, I'm back. I went somewhere. That's okay. Don't beat yourself across the chest or don't flagellate yourself if that happened. This is part of the process. You're going to pass out. It's okay. You didn't pass out. It's just the transit, the bardeau that connects those two states of awareness is so dramatic that your residual self-image, your ego, is still holding on. And it cannot traverse it completely consciously. But if you keep doing it over and over again, your residual self-image will dissolve. And again, and it will dissolve into that awareness of being enveloped in that embrace, in that endless luminosity. I hate to say luminosity because it makes it seem like it's a directional light. It's not. It's very hard to explain. It's not directional. There are certain movies that actually portray this. I watch a lot of Chinese kung fu dramas where beings who are trying to transcend and become illumined or doing cultivation, they all of a sudden they find themselves in an environment. All of a sudden, it's them standing in this big white thing that's all around them, white everywhere. There's no landscape. There's no up and down. In the Matrix, the first Matrix movie, when Neo got rescued by Morpheus, and Neo got plugged into the Matrix the first time, he met with Morpheus in a white space, in a white volume. Except it's not flat. It's not flat on the screen. When you're in that volume, it's around you. It's everywhere. It's endlessness in every direction. Any other questions or comments? Now, I want you to know that if this is being presented to you right now, it's because this is your last test before true ascendance happen. Because the moment you begin to enter in that volume, the connection that it will create will heal and repair all kinds of things in you and in your life in general, in ways, in the most miraculous, impossible, and instantaneous ways. I actually believe that the way quantum physics describe the waves the fluidic wave that exists at the core and the essence of the quantum field, that's where we go. That our consciousness float in a quantum state. And it is in that field, at least this is the way I'm perceiving at this moment, that could change my awareness could change at some point in the future, but that's the way I'm perceiving it right now. And that field is highly, highly intelligent. It feels like nothing, like you're inside emptiness. And this is why the Buddhists call it the indivisible emptiness and luminosity. It's emptiness, and it's also, it feels like white light. But it is not a void. In fact, it's so super intelligent. And this is the thing, is that as you go into it the first few times, no agenda. In fact, you cannot have an agenda, because if you have an agenda, you go in there, you're going to hold yourself back with identifying with the agenda. So when you go into it, you become so empty, just observing and witnessing. And again, if you have an agenda, you have to let it go. You have to surrender it. Gate, gate, paragate, parasanga de bodhisattva. You have to let it go. And the more you surrender, the more you let it go, you get in there. And then what happens is that the agenda that you had forgotten, when you sit in this long enough, the field, what I call this is why I call it the blessed field. The blessed field will give you a permanent answer, a true solution set that will fix the lock that you were trying to bring into it. Because it is that intelligent. Sometimes it answers questions and queries and says things to me that I don't even know I had. It connects me to things. It brings ideas and concepts. Sometimes I'm in the field for a long time, and all of a sudden it tells me something about someone else. I have to tell you that in my intimate relationships, people are scared of me. Because sometimes when I go into that field, a friend or a companion or somebody, family members, they may have a problem. And I'm sitting in the field, I'm not thinking about them at all. And all of a sudden, they tell me their problem, first name, last name, in detail. And when I come back, I reached out to my friends, and suddenly they're like, I give them the information. They're like, you're a witch. What kind of black magic are you doing? How do you know this? I don't know this. And if you, for example, Natividad posted tonight on the WhatsApp group that this is the third typhoon that's approaching Philippines. And I had done my torsion field already. And the torsion field remains for hours. The afterglow remains for hours. I just put an intention that the people of the Philippines be protected from the devastation of all this water and the saturation and the fury of this hurricane. And I release it into source. The last time I did this some time ago with for Natividad, I noticed certain things about the people and where it was going to hit, where the landfall was going to happen. If I have more time, maybe after the class, I'll have more time. I can do another connection again and actually ask the guardian to create the torsion field around the island, the islands, there are multiple islands of the Philippines. But I don't have the power to change anything. I don't have a power to make sure. All I can do is ask simple requests after the torsion field is done, help protect the people of the Philippines from this typhoon. That's all I can do. And I'm done. And sometime after releasing that simple thought, there might be vision. There might, if not vision, a sense. Like the last few times I did this, I had a sense where the hurricane was going to be, where it was going to be worse. I don't know the Philippines at all. I've never been. I don't know the island, but I could sense it's toward the north. And I could, and when I reached out to Natividad, she confirmed. So be aware uh, of the possibilities and the liberation that this can actually give you. And I have to tell you that I know in the world we exist in a go, go, go all the time. You have to do, you have to do, you have to do. This is what this is requesting of you is exact opposite. I was reading again about Amma Karomai today that spent 10 years in meditation in the forest, around the clock. I'm not asking you to do this. No one is asking you to do this, to abandon everything and do this. But we need to spend more time sometime, even when you're not doing the torsion field, in more contemplation and stillness and quiet and reflection. And the less agitated emotional you are, because everything around us, again, through the archons, are trying to agitate us in becoming overreactive. But if we can calm ourselves down and allow our consciousness after doing the torsion field to elevate into that field and keep trying to listen or witness and perceive what exists beyond the veil, what we are not seeing, what we are not hearing, what we are not perceiving. And then it will show itself. It will reveal itself. You will cross the bridge and you will get there. Any questions, any comments? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do our closing meditation. 5 minutes.
Well, my class is canceled, so that's good. I can do the meditation.
Great.
I went to the studio, my class is canceled. I guess I'm meant to be here.
Yeah, you're meant to enjoy this, yes.
Yes.
Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you. They are shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you're ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian come in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of your feet, passing through your central axis, exiting at your head, and onto the top of the fourth dimensional body, while creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts the energy of the second guardian coming in from the top of the fifth dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of my head and into the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth. And creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends, and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian, counter-rotating, coming in from the core of the earth, passing through my central axis, exiting at the top of my head, and moving into the top of the sixth dimensional body and creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Teach me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian, cascading down from the top of the seventh dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through your core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and into the core of the earth, and creating all around you. The torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends. And it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through me, exiting outside of my head and going to the top of the eight-dimensional body, and creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Teach me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, coming in as it rotates clockwise from the top of the ninth dimensional body, passing through my central axis, exiting at the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter rotating, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and moving at the top of the 10th dimensional body and creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the eighth guardian coming in from the top of the 11th dimensional body, passing through your central axis, exiting at the bottom of your feet and going to the core of the earth and creating all around you a torsion field of neutrality. Teach me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the ninth guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter rotating, moving through my central axis, exiting outside of my head into the top of the 12th dimensional body while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 10th guardian cascading down from souls, rotating clockwise, passing into the top of the 13th dimensional body, moving through my central axis, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting at the top of the 14th dimensional body, while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Teach me the neutrality and rest that you know. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 12th and final guardian coming in from the top of the 15th dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through my central axis and core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me a torsion field of neutrality. Share with me the neutrality and rest that you know. in infinity times infinity. I become the witness. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. I want to thank all of you for listening to us tonight and for participating in the class. Thank you, family. Deep love. Kisses to everyone. And I'll talk to you next week. Good night.